Good afternoon, Israel Briefers, and welcome to the Israel Brief with me, Rolene Marks. Now, there is a slightly different look today. I'm busy moving around the office/studio, so just bear with me while I experiment. And of course, if you don't like it, I'd be happy to hear your constructive feedback. As always, the Israel Brief is brought to you in partnership with these guys, Lay of the Land. And we bring you those top stories that you don't see in your media, but make the headlines here in Israel. We do it every Monday to Thursday. And of course, just a reminder that every Thursday I bring you your mentors and your morons of the week. So guys, put on those thinking caps and send them to me either via our website or via our social media. And if you have any questions, and this week I really am pleased to say I'm being so bombarded with everybody's questions that I'm taking 2 today, probably will take 2 tomorrow, and let's see how I go on Thursday. But thank you guys. I love that it's interactive, that our community is making sure that you participate in the Israel Brief, because that is what it's all about. Today is day 746, and we do not forget that we still have 15 of our brothers whose remains are captive in Gaza. We want them all back home. The agreement, part of the ceasefire agreement, was that Hamas, in this first phase, will hand over all the remaining hostages. Now, last week, the 20 living hostages were returned. Incredible scenes, and many of them have been released from hospital, as I mentioned to you yesterday. They will go on to have long-term rehabilitation with their various medical teams. 4 of the hostages still remain in hospital at the moment. And we want back the remains of the 28 deceased. These are hostages that were either murdered on the 7th of October and their bodies taken into the Gaza Strip, or were murdered in captivity, with the exception of Hadar Golden, who fell in combat during Operation Protective Edge in 2014. We want him home for a dignified burial. So let's take a look at the top stories, and we begin with news that the US Vice President J.D. Vance arrived in Israel earlier today with his wife Usha Vance. They are due to meet with various officials, but J.D. Vance, as we speak, is on his way to the observation post close to the Gaza Strip, where he will meet with 200 US troops who are overseeing the situation as the ceasefire proceeds. The Vice President is also here to look at and see how the ceasefire is being maintained. Now, Steve Witkoff, who is the special envoy, and Jared Kushner arrived in Israel yesterday. They met with the hostage families in a very, very emotional meeting earlier today. They also met with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Apparently, these meetings were very, very good. They also reiterated to the Prime Minister that the expectation is that Israel will observe the ceasefire, and of course, if there are any threats to Israeli forces, then we can act in self-defense, as we did on Sunday when members of Hamas attacked Israeli troops who were going about their duty as per the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, and 2 soldiers were killed. Israel carried out airstrikes in retaliation for that. Meanwhile, speaking in the White House last night to the media, President Trump said and I'm going to quote him, he expects Hamas to behave and obey the ceasefire, or they will be obliterated. He says that if need be, he will call on Israel to go in and finish them off. But the expectation is that all parties observe the ceasefire. Meanwhile, the Egyptian head of intelligence is in Israel at the moment and met with Prime Minister Netanyahu earlier today to discuss the day after in Gaza. Last night, the body of hostage Tal Chaimi was returned to Israeli soil. He was collected by the Red Cross, handed over to the IDF, where there was a short military ceremony and reading from the Book of Psalms. And then the body was transferred to the Abu Kabir Forensic Institute to confirm identity. Natal was killed on kibbutz near Yitzhak on the 7th of October, and his body taken in to the Gaza Strip. He was part of that community's Kitat Konenut, or rapid response team, and he was killed in combat with the terrorists. Meanwhile, earlier today, the kibbutz of Nir Oz laid to rest Ronen Engel. Ronen was also murdered on the 7th of October and his body taken hostage by Hamas. Now, Ronen was a member of Magen David Adom, which is the Red Magen David, or Star of David, part of the paramedics group, and his casket was escorted from the funeral home to Nir Oz by a cavalcade of outriders from Magen David Adom. May his memory be for a blessing, and may his family and his community be strengthened and comforted among the mourners of Zion. Maccabi Tel Aviv released a statement last night saying they will not be selling tickets to fans in Israel to attend the match against Aston Villa in Birmingham next week. Now, they thanked the UK government and the police for everything they are trying to do to overthrow the ban. If you haven't been following, this is a horrific situation. Following a campaign, we'll call it, by Member of Parliament Ayub Khan, and I'm just going to call them straight exactly what they are, anti-Israelists, anti-Semites in the government, who said that they cannot guarantee the safety of the fans of Maccabi Tel Aviv, basically inferring that they're hooligans. It is part of a campaign by the pro-Gaza contingent within the UK Labour Party and their supporters to ban Israelis, to ban Israeli teams from coming into the United Kingdom. Now, the West Midlands Police last week said they are putting a ban on any supporters of Maccabi Tel Aviv attending, which of course is absolutely discriminatory, absolutely horrific and discriminatory. Nevertheless, Maccabi Tel Aviv said that they're not putting tickets on sale due to the toxic environment in the United Kingdom. I mean, just over the weekend, a lawyer who was observing one of these hate marches, it's amazing how those are allowed to still continue despite the ceasefire. He was observing the hate marches. He was monitoring hate speech. He was wearing a Magen David Star of David, like I do, and he was arrested and held by the police for 10 hours just in case he provoked the marches. I guess it doesn't matter to march with calls for our genocide. It is absolutely appalling. And what I have noticed on social media, various other MKs supporting this ban, saying, great, now ban the soccer team, which, by the way, is mixed Jewish and Arabs and Christians. Ban the soccer team from coming to play their match against Aston Villa. It is an absolute, utter disgrace. And all it takes for this evil, for this capitulation to the mob to flourish, is if the silent majority are silent. We ask anyone who wants to stand against the persecution of the Jewish people around the world to start raising your voices before it's too late. And we are just the canaries in the coal mine. What starts with us never ends with us. And finally, staying in the United Kingdom, His Majesty King Charles paid a visit to the Heaton Park synagogue in Manchester yesterday. the monarch sporting a kippah and armed with a bottle of whiskey to give to the community for their Saturday kiddush. Personally, I'd like to know which kind of whiskey it was, because I am a fan of a nice whiskey. Your Madge, anytime you want to give me a whiskey, I'll be happy to take it. Well, back to more serious stuff. He paid a visit to the synagogue that was attacked on Yom Kippur. This is the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, where 2 worshippers were killed. And he showed his concern, his love for the community. He met with the rabbi of the shul, Rabbi Walker, as well as the chief rabbi of the United Kingdom and Commonwealth, Rabbi Ephraim Mervis. He then took the time to walk around to members of the community who had gathered outside, to spend time speaking to them, hearing their concerns, and expressing his desire to really be there for the community and really help the community. And I just want to say, if anyone from the royal household is watching this, Your Majesty, your visit to Heaton Park Synagogue doesn't only strengthen Jews in the United Kingdom, it sends a message to all of us around the world who are facing astronomical anti-Semitism that you and your family care, and it is so appreciated. Toda rabah. Thank you, Your Majesty. Right, let's get to the questions. And I have 2 questions again today. The first is from Pat Newman, who says, how committed are the Arab nations to maintaining peace and the ceasefire? This is a fantastic question, because a couple of months ago, the Arab League met, and contrary to the recognition of a Palestinian state, they called for a ceasefire for Israel to be recognized, and stated quite unequivocally that Hamas can play no part in the future of the Gaza Strip. So I think they are absolutely committed, and yes, we do have slight mistrust, a lot of mistrust for countries like Qatar and Turkey, who have an extremely anti-Israel bent, but nevertheless, they are committed to this ceasefire holding, and we hope to enlarge the circle of peace. And we certainly saw in Sharm el-Sheikh last week, with the signing of the ceasefire agreement in the presence of President Trump, a significant amount of Arab leaders. So they are committed. And just today, the head of intelligence for Egypt in Israel to discuss the day after. So we do have commitment there. The next question comes from Sylvia, who says, will the IDF be prosecuting Hamas for war crimes? Sylvia, that is a fantastic question, very, very important. So we do have the Nukhba forces and those who participated in the October the 7th attacks in custody. They will be put on trial. Absolutely, they will be put on trial. In fact, there is a debate going on whether or not the death penalty should be instituted in these cases. We also have amongst the cases the biggest war crimes and crimes against humanity of sexual violence being prosecuted against these Hamas Nukhba forces as well. So absolutely, they will be put on trial. Some suggestions there should be a Nuremberg-style trial, but right now our police and all who handle the evidence are putting together the cases, and as soon as the trials begin, you can be sure we will be following that on the Israel Brief. So guys, that's it from me for today. Don't forget your mentions, your morons, your questions, and a reminder to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our YouTube channel is at the Israel Brief right here. We are on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, Substack at Rolene Marks, Facebook at Lottel's site, Instagram at Rolene_Marks. And guys, I think that's it from me for today. So I will see you tomorrow. God bless, and thank you for your patience with my redecorating schemes. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.